You might be skipping one of the most studied and most misunderstood supplements that could help protect your strength, energy, and even brain health as you age. Most people think creatine is just for bodybuilders or gym rats, but the truth, if you're over 30, creatine might be one of the smartest additions to your daily routine, even if you never touch a dumbbell. If you care about staying strong, sharp, and independent as the years go by, this is something worth knowing. There's a naturally occurring compound in your body that plays a huge role in how your muscles move, how your brain functions, and even how well you recover from day-to-day life. It's called creatine. And chances are, you've heard the name tossed around at the gym or in health magazines. But here's what they don't always tell you. Creatine isn't just for people chasing big biceps. It's for anyone who wants to support muscle strength, mental clarity, and resilience against age-related decline. Whether you're lifting weights, lifting grandkids, or just lifting your mood, creatine might matter more than you think. So if that sounds helpful, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost a thing, and we share science-backed health tips every week to help you feel your best at every age. What exactly is creatine? Let's break it down in plain language. Creatine is something your body already makes. It's not some foreign chemical. It's a naturally occurring compound found mostly in your muscles and a little bit in your brain, liver, and kidneys. You also get it from foods like red meat and fish, but only in small amounts. Inside your muscles, creatine works kind of like a backup battery. It helps regenerate ATP, the energy currency your cells use when they need to move fast or work hard. Think sprinting, lifting, climbing stairs, anything that demands quick energy. That's where creatine steps in, giving your cells an extra charge. Now here's where it gets interesting. As we age, our ability to produce and store creatine naturally goes down. Combine that with lower muscle mass, slower recovery, and often less physical activity, and you've got a recipe for fatigue, weakness, and frustration. This is why researchers have been looking at creatine not just as a sports supplement, but as a powerful tool for healthy aging. Creatine isn't just for gym people. We've all seen the stereotypes: the shaker bottle, the bulked-up guy at the squat rack, the impression that creatine is all about size, vanity, or competition. But the science says otherwise. In a clinical study published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine, older adults who added creatine to their resistance training routine saw significant gains in leg strength and lean muscle, even compared to others doing the same workouts without creatine. And the benefits weren't limited to the gym. Participants reported better balance, less fatigue, and more confidence in everyday movements. Things like walking up the stairs, carrying groceries, or standing from a chair became easier. That matters, especially if you're trying to avoid falls, injuries, or muscle loss, which tend to creep in with age. And here's the kicker: you don't have to be a regular gym goer to benefit. Creatine supports function, not just fitness. And that means even casual walkers, weekend gardeners, or people recovering from injury might feel a difference. The brain benefits you've never heard of. Now let's talk brain, because this is where things really start to surprise people. Your brain uses a ton of energy. In fact, it only makes up about 2% of your body weight, but it consumes over 20% of your total energy. And guess what it uses to keep firing on all cylinders? ATP. The very same molecule creatine helps produce. Some newer research suggests that supplementing with creatine could improve brain performance, especially under stress, sleep deprivation, or cognitive load. That means potentially better focus, memory, and resilience when you're tired or overwhelmed. One study from the Royal Society even found that creatine supplementation increased brain creatine stores and may offer protection against neurological issues like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. Now let's be clear, creatine isn't a magic pill. But when paired with healthy habits, it might help you think more clearly, recover faster from mental fatigue, and keep your mind sharp as you age. Safety, bloating, and the myths that won't die. Now, If you've heard anything about creatine in the news, you've probably heard the criticisms. It causes bloating. It's bad for your kidneys. It's just for meatheads. Let's set the record straight. First, kidney health. Decades of research have shown that in healthy adults, creatine does not damage the kidneys. The myth likely came from misunderstandings around creatinine, a related substance measured in blood tests. But for most people with normal kidney function, there's no risk. Of course, if you do have kidney issues or any medical condition, talk to your doctor before starting. That's just smart practice with any supplement. Second, bloating. Some people experience temporary water retention, especially during what's called a loading phase, when they take larger doses to saturate muscle stores. This might cause a slight puffiness or weight gain, but it's water, not fat. And in most cases, it subsides after the first week. And remember, that extra water inside the muscle isn't a bad thing. It can actually support hydration, nutrient delivery, and muscle function. So it's not bloating in the way most people imagine. So we've cleared the air on some of the biggest myths. Now let's take a deeper look at what creatine is actually doing inside your body, and why it matters more with age, not less. The energy connection most people miss. Let's talk about energy, not the wired, jittery, I had too much coffee kind of energy, but the deep cellular energy that powers your muscles, your mind, and your recovery. That's where creatine works its quiet magic. Here's how it plays out. Your cells use ATP, adenosine triphosphate, as their energy source. The more ATP you can make and recycle, the longer and harder you can work before fatigue kicks in. Whether you're lifting weights, chasing your dog, or standing on your feet all day, ATP is the fuel. Now, creatine helps regenerate ATP faster. It's like adding more workers to a factory line. Production speeds up, output increases, and performance improves. That's why people on creatine often say they feel stronger, recover faster, and just have a little more drive. It's not a stimulant. It's cellular support. And if you've ever noticed that your workouts feel tougher, your muscles fatigue quicker, or your recovery takes longer than it used to, creatine might help turn that around. The loading phase, what it is, and if you need it. Let's say you're interested in giving it a try. That's where most people hit a wall of confusion. Do I need to load creatine? Do I have to cycle on and off? What if I just want to keep it simple? Here's the reality. You've got options, and none of them are wrong. There are two main ways people start with creatine. One, the traditional loading phase. This means taking about 20 grams per day for 5 to 7 days, split into smaller doses. The goal here is to saturate your muscles quickly, sort of like filling a gas tank fast. Then, after that first week, you drop down to a maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams per day. 2, the slow and steady approach. No loading phase, just start with 3 to 5 grams daily from the beginning. It'll take a little longer to feel the effects, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, but you'll still get the same results over time. And there's no need to cycle off creatine unless you want to. Studies show it's safe for long-term use in healthy adults. Some people have taken it daily for years with no issues. So, if the whole loading idea sounds like a hassle, just skip it. Daily consistency is what matters most. Not just for men, creatine in women. This next point is important. There's a lingering belief out there that creatine is just for guys, that it's all about bulking up or getting huge, that if women take it, they'll get puffy, masculine, or lose their lean shape. Not only is that wrong, it's flat out outdated. In fact, research shows that women may benefit just as much, if not more, from creatine, especially when it comes to energy, strength, and recovery. One study from Canada followed both men and women supplementing with creatine over 6 weeks. The result? Both groups got stronger, felt better, and saw clear improvements in performance. But here's what's even more interesting. Creatine may also support hormonal health and mental resilience in women. Some emerging research suggests potential benefits for mood, cognition, and even protection during perimenopause and postmenopause, when muscle loss and energy dips are more common. So, ladies, creatine isn't going to make you bulky. What it might do is help you feel stronger, sharper, and more in control of your energy throughout the day. What the research actually shows. Let's ground this with a bit of science. In one 14-week study published in the Journal of Clinical Medicine, older adults who combined creatine with weight training saw significant increases in lean muscle and strength, particularly in the legs. That's a big deal when you consider how lower body strength connects to mobility and independence as we age. Another study found that athletes who supplemented with creatine over a 3-month period gained an average of 6.5 pounds more lean muscle than athletes who trained without it. But it's not just about athletes. In a 2021 review of creatine and aging, researchers concluded that creatine supplementation may improve not only strength and power, but also cognitive function and bone health in older populations. These are not fringe studies. They're peer-reviewed, placebo-controlled, and well-respected in the medical and performance science communities. Yet somehow, most doctors still don't bring it up. Maybe because it's a supplement. Maybe because it's associated with gym culture. Or maybe because the science has just moved faster than the conversation. But that's why we're having this conversation now, so you don't miss something that could support your strength and health for years to come. What to expect when you start. So you're considering creatine. What should you actually expect? First, don't expect a jolt. It's not caffeine. You won't feel it kick in an hour later. This is more of a steady build. You're giving your muscles and brain more fuel, more support, and over days and weeks, that adds up. Most people begin to feel a difference in performance or recovery within 7 to 10 days if they do a loading phase. If they go slow and steady, it might take closer to a month. Some notice they can push harder in workouts. Others feel more endurance in their daily tasks. A few just notice they're less sore, less tired, and a little more motivated to move. And yes, you might gain a pound or 2 in that first week. But again, that's just water being pulled into the muscles. It's a good sign the creatine is doing its job. So far, we've talked about how creatine helps your muscles work harder and recover faster, but the story doesn't stop there. Not even close. Because while most people think of creatine as a muscle-building tool, science is beginning to reveal something far more compelling: its role in total body resilience, including brain health, fatigue resistance, and aging. Let's break that down. How creatine affects your brain. One of the most surprising and exciting discoveries in the past decade is how creatine might protect the brain. Just like your muscles, your brain runs on ATP. In fact, some neurons are so energy hungry that even a small dip in ATP availability can lead to mental fog, slower reaction times, or mood dips. Now remember, creatine's job is to replenish ATP quickly and efficiently, and when you supplement with creatine, some of it goes straight to your brain. That's right, even though most people talk about muscle creatine, a small but meaningful portion ends up supporting your nervous system. A study published by the Royal Society showed that creatine supplementation increased brain creatine stores significantly. That boost in energy metabolism has been linked to improved memory, processing speed, and mental clarity, especially under stressful conditions like sleep deprivation or multitasking. But here's the part that really raises eyebrows. Researchers are now exploring creatine's potential to help slow or protect against neurodegenerative conditions, including Parkinson's, Huntington's, and even early-stage Alzheimer's. Now, to be clear, we're still in the early stages of that research. Creatine is not a cure or a treatment, but it might offer a layer of protection by supporting the brain's energy demands and buffering against age-related decline. Think of it like this. When your brain has better energy reserves, it can focus, fire, and function with more precision. And that's something everyone can benefit from, not just athletes or bodybuilders. Fatigue aging and creatine's hidden role. Let's talk about something every adult knows all too well: fatigue. Not just tiredness from a long day, but that slow, creeping sense that your energy reserves just aren't what they used to be. You're not imagining it. As we age, our ability to produce and recycle cellular energy decreases. That shows up as slower recovery, more soreness, less drive to move, and yes, that persistent mental and physical fatigue. This is where creatine steps in as a quiet but powerful ally. By supporting your body's ATP production, creatine helps improve how quickly your cells can refuel. The result? Better muscular endurance, faster bounce back after activity, and a reduction in that heavy, drained feeling that stops so many people from sticking with a routine. In fact, one study found that people who stopped taking creatine after regular use noticed measurable declines in energy and balance within just a few weeks. That tells you something important. This compound might play a role in helping us feel more like ourselves, especially during periods of stress, recovery, or aging. What creatine doesn't do. Let's clear up a few final myths, because this is where a lot of people get stuck. No, creatine will not make you bulky overnight. It's not a steroid. It has nothing to do with hormones. And unless you're lifting heavy and eating in a calorie surplus, it won't suddenly change your frame. What it might do is give your muscles a fuller, more hydrated look, which many people actually find more aesthetic, not less. And no, creatine isn't cheating or unnatural. Your own liver, kidneys, and pancreas make creatine every single day. This isn't some synthetic lab chemical being dumped into your body. It's a compound your cells already use. Supplementing simply means giving your system a little more of what it already runs on. And finally, no, you don't need to be training hard to benefit. Even light to moderate activity, walking, yoga, cycling, stretching, is enough to tap into creatine's benefits. If you move, you use ATP, and if you use ATP, creatine can help. Straight from the science. Here's a quote from a 2020 review in the Journal of Aging Research and Clinical Practice. Creatine supplementation in older adults is associated with improvements in muscle strength, lean tissue mass, cognitive function, and bone mineral density, with few reported adverse effects. That's huge, especially when you realize how few interventions can claim benefits across so many systems: muscle, mind, metabolism, and mobility, all from one well-studied supplement. What this means for daily life. So, what does this all mean for you? It means that small, consistent choices, like adding a scoop of creatine to your morning smoothie, might pay off in unexpected ways. More energy to get through your day, less soreness after your walk or strength session, a clearer head in the afternoon, a little more resilience when life throws you curveballs. It's not about perfection. It's about making small upgrades that help you feel a little more powerful, a little more capable, every single day. And in a world where stress, inflammation, and age can chip away at our energy, creatine is one of those rare, proven tools that can quietly tip the scales back in your favor. By now, you can probably see that creatine is much more than a gym supplement. It's a well-researched, deeply underestimated tool for aging well, supporting strength, clarity, recovery, and resilience in ways most people never hear about. So the next question is simple. How do you get started? Dosage, timing, and finding your fit. Creatine is simple, but let's make it even easier. Here's the quick guide to getting started, minus the confusion. Start with a dose that works for you. For most adults, that means 3 to 5 grams per day. That's about 1 teaspoon of creatine monohydrate. No fancy blends, no added ingredients, just the pure stuff. It's tasteless, mixes into anything, and is easily absorbed by your body. Decide if you want to load. If you'd like to feel the effects faster, you can start with a loading phase. 20 grams a day, split into 4 doses for 5 to 7 days. After that, drop to a daily maintenance dose, or skip the loading and just begin with 3 to 5 grams per day. You'll still see the benefits. It might just take a few extra weeks to build up. Take it any time of day. There's no perfect time. Morning, afternoon, after your workout. The most important thing is simply taking it consistently. Your body stores it over time, so think of it more like brushing your teeth than taking an energy shot. Pair it with water. And stay hydrated. Creatine helps your muscles retain water, which is great for performance, but it also means you'll want to make hydration a priority. A little extra water throughout the day goes a long way in supporting the process. Mix it with something you enjoy, whether that's a smoothie, a glass of juice, or even just warm water. There's no need to overthink it. What matters is that it becomes a routine you can stick with. Safety and when to check with a doctor. Now, let's be responsible. Creatine is incredibly well studied, probably one of the most researched supplements in the world, but like anything, it's not for everyone. If you have a history of kidney disease, are taking prescription medications, or are managing a chronic condition, it's always best to talk with your doctor or healthcare provider before adding any supplement, creatine included. Also, the safety of creatine during pregnancy, nursing, or for children hasn't been fully established. So if you fall into one of those categories, check with a professional who knows your personal health history. That said, for otherwise healthy adults, long-term use of creatine in moderate doses, 3 to 5 grams per day, has shown no negative effects on liver or kidney markers and no increased risk for dehydration or cramping, despite the myths. In other words, if you're healthy, hydrated, and thoughtful about your body, creatine is one of the safest and most effective performance supports you can use. What this supplement is really about. So what does creatine really mean? It means taking back your energy, your strength, your ability to show up for the people and passions that matter to you, without being held back by soreness, fatigue, or the slow fade of age. Because aging doesn't have to mean declining. Yes, our bodies change. Yes, we lose muscle faster. Yes, recovery isn't quite what it used to be. But that doesn't mean we give up. It means we get smarter. We start making choices that align with how we want to feel, not just how we expect to feel. Creatine is one of those choices. It's simple, it's affordable, it's backed by science. And it might just be the quiet powerhouse that helps you feel more like yourself again, stronger, sharper, and more in control. A powerful reminder. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be in the best shape of your life. You don't need to follow the latest trend or spend hundreds of dollars on the latest miracle formula. What you need is consistency. Smart choices. Tools that work with your body, not against it. And creatine? For many people, it's one of those tools, because feeling strong, clear, and energized as you age isn't about chasing youth. It's about honoring your health in a way that helps you live fully. Whether that means carrying your grandkids, dancing with your partner, or simply waking up with more vitality and less soreness in your step. You deserve that. Your body is capable of that. And with the right support, you can get there. Keep growing with us. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. We share practical, science-backed health tips every week, made just for adults who want to feel better, move better, and live with more energy and confidence. No fluff, no hype, just real tools for real life. Thanks for being here. And remember, your health is your power.